As a working mom who enjoys volunteering, hosting workshops, getting involved in the community, joining panels, and doing some guest speaking, it can get pretty busy. I get caught up in the doing of it all. If you're a busy mom like me who seems to never be able to catch a break, this episode is for you. And if you don't have time to watch this, know before everything else, make me time a non-negotiable. If you do have a little bit more time to learn my tips and tricks for doing this and just get more of that perspective, then continue listening to this episode. Hi, I'm Leah Fetterhoff, a user experience designer, writer, and life strategist. And I want to inspire you to thrive in work and life. So let's talk about me time. I've made me time a non-negotiable. What I mean is there are things in life that we protect, that we know we have to say no to. Over the years, my non-negotiables have evolved, and I've gotten a lot clearer on them. Let's take relationships, for instance, right? Like, long distance at one point was something I was okay with. Over time, it wasn't. Living in a big city was okay for one time until it wasn't, right? And it was through experiences that I encountered and realized about myself, things that drained my energy instead of lighting me up. I've learned to curate those experiences in ways that I'm happy, from when I wake up to seeing what's outside my window to the family, my partner and I have made. It's made all the difference because I've set down my non-negotiables and I'm aware of his, and we're aligned in that. So if you're curious more about how I make my relationship work, I shouldn't say make, but how I have a relationship that works, I have an episode around that. But in today's episode, what I'll talk about is me time, because especially as a mom and a working mom, I don't think we give ourselves enough time for me time. I was on a panel last month where we talked about working moms in Silicon Valley. And both of my kids were raised while I was still working in the Bay Area. And I remember it was so hectic going from an hour and a half long commute to work and back, doing daycare drop-offs and pickups, making sure I wasn't late with that 6 p.m. cutoff time, and really just trying to balance my day with all the things that could be going on while my kids were somewhere else. Family was and always will be a non-negotiable, and what I mean is if there's a special celebration or a milestone for my kids, I want to make sure I can be there. Now, it's taking that same thing and applying it to myself. Me time itself feels like, I can carve out some time here and there. But I think being very clear about the need to have me time is so important. So in this panel where I was giving a talk, one woman asked, how is she going to find time to build up these new skill sets, because she was out of the workforce for 5 years, raising her 2 kids, an intentional decision, and she wanted to come back in to a different career. But of course, when you're raising 2 kids and it's pretty busy, there's a lot of disruptions throughout the day, they need a lot of attention. How do you do this? And what I told her was the same thing. Make me time that you're investing in yourself as a non-negotiable. Just like your kids need you, is there a way to find that time and space and protect it? Whether that's with a partner or a trusted family member, or even a daycare. Is there somewhere that you can bring them to for a few hours a day? Or dedicate some time once they've fallen asleep. It could be 1 day, 2 days a week, a couple hours. Find the time to take the class. Find the time to build those skills. Or find the time to be creative. Whatever it is that your inner knowing, your inner voice, or whatever you feel called to do it. Use that time and space to do it. And me time isn't, as I mentioned, all about doing. So you can also use that time and space to binge on a Netflix show, read a book, do something that you've been wanting to do for yourself. What I found is that the value of me time gives you an opportunity. So you take a step back from going through the motions of executing and going through a to-do list and really feel and see how much of that energy is still left at the end of the day. When you reflect on the past week, do you remember all the things you did? Did you want to do all the things you did? How can you bring more of the things you want to do or not do in? Have you encountered this lately? If you've made me time a non-negotiable, how did you do it? Leave me a comment below or tag me at Swishie Official on Instagram. If you haven't made me time a non-negotiable yet, I also want to hear that. What's preventing you from doing so? And I'll do my best to convince you and hold you accountable. It's easy to get caught up in doing more and more. And as a working mom, I found that I'm so much more efficient with my time. But of course, it's a catch-22 because the more efficient I feel with my time, the more I feel like I can also say yes to things and accommodate more things. And it's a never-ending cycle. You need rest too. We all do. And I don't mean rest in just terms of getting 8 hours of sleep, which is also a great thing to do for your health and sanity. But the way that sleep, that we know from science, when we're sleeping, our neurons in our brain are making these new connections, are storing memories for the long term. A lot of stuff is going on there to get us ready for the next day and to help us with life. I see me time as a way to rest while awake. And this is a way to check in with yourself and see, are you processing your life? Do you have an opportunity to give yourself time and space to reflect on whether life is filling you up or where it's not? Are you enjoying what you're doing? What are you craving? What do you need more of? How do you take care of yourself? Whether you feel called to take a bubble bath or get your hair done or go out for a hike. Maybe it's something like treating yourself out to an ice cream sundae or a trip to Target. Whatever that is. Well, one, do it, but also think about why. Why do you feel called to do it? Has it been a while since you've done something for yourself? How does it make you feel when you get that thing done? Why hasn't it been a priority? What has been pulling you? What has been filling up your calendar where you haven't had that time to pause and reflect for yourself? I know someone who gets sick every time she goes on vacation. It's most likely because she's always doing all the time, and when she finally takes a chance to rest, life catches up to her. Her body catches up to her. Everything that she was trying to shove aside and didn't want to feel while she was actively doing things finally has this opportunity to tell her, like, look, your body needs to heal, your body needs to rest. Whatever you do, if you can avoid getting to that point, try not to get to that point because it means you're neglecting your body and you're not listening to what your inner self really needs. I'm not saying I'm perfect at this either because it also happens to me on occasion, but it's a good reminder that maybe you said yes to like 10 things this week. If you're getting to the point where you can't even remember what you signed up for or what this block on your calendar is, it's probably a good opportunity to start decluttering, right? Both your headspace and what you actually see on your calendar. And then add more of that space. As a designer, we like to add white space to the visuals on a screen, or we like to simplify. We like to be able to navigate a page without thinking too hard. It's basically the same thing. If you look at your schedule or you do a mental check of what space in your day looks like, do you have enough, or is it cluttered? Is it bringing you down? Is it kind of confusing to navigate? Maybe you just need a little bit of a refresh. Start saying no to more things. Start being decisive and tactful about where you're spending that time and energy. And that space can be used for me time, whether it's to pursue something you really want to do or simply be and enjoy life for what it is now. That's all I have. If you enjoyed this episode, leave me a comment below, subscribe, and share with your friends. So also let me know what you'd be interested in hearing, because this is all about giving you inspiration to thrive in work and life. And if you want more inspiration, check out my website at swishie.com and sign up for my newsletter. If you're a woman of color who's seeking a like-minded community, check out my private Facebook group. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Swishie. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and share with friends.